And welcome to the January hangover version of the popular Latte engagement series. I'm Chris Harris, Senior Enrollment Strategist here at Capture Higher Ed, and I hope that your 2022 is off to a great start. Hopefully, the new spring semester students have arrived on your campus and are making the transition to your campus really, really well, and that you've begun to focus on those final stages of the fall 2022 campaign. Today's Latte engagement is with our enrollment management peers at the University of Toledo. We look forward to hearing from them here in a few minutes and hear about what their goals are and what they're seeing in their market there in Northwest Ohio. For those of you who are new to Latte engagement or joining us for the first time, let me give you some background here about who we are at Capture. We are the premier higher education and recruitment organization. We help our partners make every interaction count by utilizing personalized, data-driven, and timely connections with prospective students. We accomplish this by utilizing the industry's only behavioral intelligence platform. Our behavioral intelligence platform combines marketing automation and predictive modeling to support the entire recruitment process from the time that maybe you purchase their name, or maybe you receive them as an inquiry until they enroll in your college in that specific semester. We're here to help you get that through there. This helps our partner institutions better identify, convert, and enroll. And you'll hear a lot about that here over the next 6 to 8 months as we really talk about how we take that next step with all of our clients to make sure they identify, convert, and enroll the right students so that you can not only increase your new student enrollment for your campus, but also increase your retention and graduation rates as well. We accomplish this by harnessing the data from the behavioral intelligence platform and our advanced predictive models to provide real-time actionable data to our partners. Our team of expert enrollment leaders, marketers, and data scientists help drive our innovative and results-driven outcomes every single day. We're here as an extension of your enrollment team and your marketing team, and we're here to help you get the enrollment you need to be successful. So as we get started today, I hope you guys enjoy our conversation today. So let's start with the Latte engagement. We're going to bring our friends in from the University of Toledo, and Collin, Gabe, and Robin, where are you? Let me see your faces. Here they come, Northwest Ohio. Now, Collin and I did have a little conversation off the side just before we started, and is there no snow in Northwest Ohio, Collin? Or is there just a little bit of snow?
None to be seen. No snow in Northwest Ohio, unfortunately.
And how about the algae bloom? Is there an algae bloom out there in the lake right now too?
Always.
That's awesome. That's awesome. As someone who spent amount of time myself in Northwest Ohio, and there's always the weather changes every 12 minutes. It seems like all the time. So, but there's always a breeze. Let's just make sure that there's always a breeze in Northwest Ohio. So, Collin, as we get started in this conversation today, I was looking at my calendar this morning and kind of thinking about you and all of the other directors of admissions out there and all of your teams and things like that, and came to this conclusion. And this is something, I don't know if it's scary or not for you, but there are 200. Now you guys start on the 22nd of August, right?
Correct.
So that means there's 223 days left, right?
Yeah.
And for Gabe and Robin, that means there's 5,300 hours left, or about 320,000 seconds left. But who's counting, right? I mean, just thinking about it in those terms. So let me thank you in advance for today for taking time out of your day to just kind of talk with us about what you guys are seeing at the University of Toledo, what you guys are doing, and you guys have been really successful, and I'm really excited to hear about that. So for our audience, Collin, why don't you introduce yourself and your team and tell us a little bit about yourselves and what you guys are doing right now.
Sure. I'm Collin Palmer, and I serve as the Director of Undergraduate Admission at the University of Toledo. So my team focuses on domestic undergraduate recruitment, freshman students, adults, transfers, online, and military students. I've been at Toledo for almost 5 years now and work with a great team of transfer recruitment professionals led by Robin, and then your traditional freshman recruitment professionals led by Gabe. So Robin, if you want to say hello.
Hello, everyone. Robin Marufo, and I work with our transfer and adult population at the University of Toledo. Our team is boots on the ground, working with students out in our community colleges, working with students in any media format. We work with students via phone calls, via email, in-office visits, out at the community colleges, et cetera. So we're constantly working with students and their academic advisors at their other institutions to help them make a seamless transition to U Toledo.
Awesome. Hi, Robin. How are you?
Doing great, thank you. I
Good.
came from 21 inches in Northeast Ohio yesterday.
Yeah, my parents live in Erie, PA, and they have 17 and a half. So
Great powder at Peak and Peak.
That's great powder at Peak and Peak. I should head up that way. And Gabe, hello, my friend. How are you?
I'm doing well, my friend. How are you? It's been a while.
Awesome. Thanks for asking.
Doing well. Well, hello, everyone. My name is Gabe, and I serve as Associate Director of Undergraduate Admission here at the University of Toledo. I'm coming up in a couple of months of my 2-year anniversary, but I help to oversee the direct from high school staff that is located right here in our office. So we have 5 admission counselors, and then I also do some with our regional enrollment management team, which are located across the state of Ohio, over in the Chicago area, and over in DC as well. We do have a wonderful and amazing assistant director of regional enrollment that actually supervises that team directly. His name is Derek Fossey, but he's not with us today, but he's a great professional as well.
Yeah, I was going to say Derek has his hands full with that Ryan Chernick guy over there in DC. Known Ryan for quite some time now. So great. Thanks again, guys, for taking some time with us today. And we'll jump right in and let's just kind of go back, Collin, and kind of think about how you guys have looked to explore and expand with your partnership with Capture, and what kind of precipitated your choice of working with a vendor and things like that. What was the problem that you guys were looking to solve overall? And is it top of the funnel, middle of the funnel, the whole thing? What was it that you guys went with?
Well, if I've learned anything over the past 2 years, especially, I think we're always trying to juggle all parts of the funnel. When I first became director of admissions at Toledo, we were really focusing on yield because we were seeing our yield conversion rates decrease while the top of our funnel was staying just about the same. I think Toledo is fortunate, and especially was fortunate pre-COVID, that we had a 31 to 34% yield rate each year, and for institutions like ours, that was pretty high. We weren't out there chasing applications. We were not interested in soft applications. We were more interested in knowing more about our applicants, providing them with timely and relevant information, and building personal relationships between them and their admission counselors. And so that's what we've really invested in with Capture. It's just talking with someone on your team, Chris, the other day about when did the Capture relationship begin with the University of Toledo, because it predates my arrival to the university, and especially my time as director of admissions. And it was in 2015. And we were partnering with you for behavioral engagement data using the Engage or CBE information. And that was very helpful for us. Again, providing timely and relevant information to students is key, and especially as we've expanded the size of our prospect pool, that's been even more important for us. But over time, we've added a few things. So we've added an apply model and an admit model. At Toledo, we've probably more than doubled our spend on print communication in the last 2 years, especially since the time of COVID, recognizing email fatigue and the value in putting information in front of parents and other influencers. But I also don't want to mail a piece to a prospect pool of 180,000 students or 200,000 students. So we've really used Capture to help narrow down our list for that. And so that's just using the apply model. And then we're using the admit model or the enroll model to do the exact same thing, especially as we work with the academic colleges more closely to increase yield. Toledo has 13 academic colleges. We're a fully comprehensive university, so there's not any one program that really sticks out for us in a large scale. So we're big in the social sciences and the humanities and STEM and health and helping professions. So we have to help guide the colleges in their work, and that enroll model is going to assist us with that. But we know that our enrollment increase, or our goal of increasing enrollment, is not just going to come from connecting with students that are already in our traditional markets, but also more nationally and globally. So we're also going to be working with our consultant on search to make sure that we're being more strategic with our search, that we're thinking outside of the Midwest, and working to put the University of Toledo in front of students that would find this to be a great fit for them.
Yeah, it's a pretty comprehensive thought process that you guys have, Collin. I think that's one of the things that, and I read recently this past fall, you guys saw increases in your international population, your transfer and adult population, which is part of that diversification process that's happening. So I'm very happy to hear, obviously, the continued relationship that we have with UT, with the University of Toledo, and making sure that we are servicing all of your needs as we go through that process and working together. I mean, I think that's the beauty of it is that, and you said this several times, it's partnerships that goes through. The consultant comes in and we talk, but we also talk as a team behind the scenes and really understanding what your needs are. And Gabe and Robin, let's kind of just jump back about, let's just say 24 months ago now. I, like you, was sitting on a college campus and just wondering what was going to happen. COVID hit. We're going home. We're going to be remote. All this crazy stuff that was happening. And so we learned a lot in 21 about what worked and what didn't work. And what have you guys done? And Robin, we'll start with you. What have you guys done on the transfer and adult side that you learned from being in the COVID era that you've kind of continued on at this point in time?
I think one of the main things that we've learned, Chris, is that you really have to, it's trite to say that you meet the students where they are, but meeting the students where they are doesn't necessarily just mean physically. It can be cognitively, effectively, and students share a lot with just giving us their transcripts. Sometimes the transcript says quite a lot, but our job is really to make that personal connection with them to the best that we can, to the best degree that we can, and try to make them feel comfortable with their decision, helping them understand the process. Most transfer students thought that they were done when they made their initial decision to go to college, and I made my choice. Or in the COVID era, it could be just the opposite. They say, oh, well, I'll go there for a while, and this is where I really want to go. So we have to do a lot of listening, asking very active questions based on what we hear. And Capture's been great because it helps identify for us those students who are at least searching and seeming to show an interest in U Toledo, and what pages they're visiting, help us to understand where they might be thinking, what they're thinking. So.
Right. Robin, did you see, now knowing Northwest Ohio and the and even Southern Michigan, that kind of thing, there's an abundance of two-year institutions. Do you guys mostly see students coming from your two-year institutions, or is the vast majority coming from four-year institutions? What's your mix look like?
I don't know the specifics, Chris, but it definitely feels about half and half, or 60-40. With regard to, especially with COVID, because of local students. So we have a great mix of, we do have that great base of community colleges, such as Monroe Community College just over the line in Monroe County, Michigan. But then we have Northwest State, we have Owens in our backyard. Owens has a Toledo and a Findlay campus, and of course Tara is near us as well. So we draw from all of those institutions. And of course, a big one for us is Lorain County Community College and Tri-C even, so Cuyahoga County. All that said, we're seeing a great mixture of all of those same institutions that I just mentioned, but high numbers of Lucas and Wood County, our surrounding area, where home students are coming home. They want or need to feel like they're home and connected to people who can help them be successful in college. So we're seeing a lot of we're seeing a lot of mobility, and a lot of that mobility, we're on the receiving end of it. Students coming home.
It's nice being in a larger city for that. Hey Gabe, my question for you kind of is in the same realm. Now you guys have regional people in different places and stuff like that, but what are your counselors what are they seeing that's working with more of the traditional age student from a recruitment perspective that you guys learned from the COVID era?
Yeah, one of the things that we learned, and probably just like a lot of folks, is that empathy, understanding, being flexible, that's been huge for us. If I think about, almost 24 months ago, March of 2020, we were the first public four-year university to go test optional. And so it was a lot of outreach and explaining and understanding, working with influencers, last minute decisions, to be able to be flexible and say, hey, we understand, we know what's going on, or maybe we don't, but we are at least empathetic to know what's going on, how it might be affecting you. And so let's work together. Is it a virtual meeting? Is it, anything that we can do? Is it after hours? Is it weekends? Whatever it was, to be able to be understanding for our students. And that's just kind of carried over to 2021 and now 2022. And I was thinking about how our GPA, average GPA increased, right? And was there anything that we specifically did different to reach a more prepared student? I don't necessarily think so, but it could have been that those same students that wanted to stay, Robin was talking about transferring close to home, being close to family, are those same students that were, traditional age students ready to go off to, another institution out of state, maybe one that has a higher profile than we do or what have you, but they want to stay closer to home. And so those last minute decisions, I can remember, a 4.0 and a 30 plus student calling 2 weeks before classes were starting, said, hey, I decided not to go to this institution. What can you do for me? And scrambling to be able to do that. So I think it just, things that we thought might have been possible before, we were forced to actually do them and put them into practice. And now we know they're possible. So now we're actually doing them.
Yeah. And Collin, there was a question that just popped up there that asked about, what kind of changes did you guys make to your to help accommodate the changes that were happening out there? You had mentioned that you guys had gone test optional. Were there any other things that you guys put into place to make it easier for students to participate in this this interaction with you guys?
Sure. So like Gabe mentioned, we were the first public university in Ohio to institute a test optional pathway, and we made that a permanent pathway several months ago. We've also become test free for merit scholarship consideration. So we recognize that in going test optional, it should promote access and accessibility to college or university, but you've also given students a choice in a process that traditionally was restricted in choice. Now, there have been many universities and colleges that have been test optional for quite some time, but not many of our peer institutions at Toledo. So we gave them a choice, but what we're trying to do is relieve the burden on any choice that they might have to make, and ultimately make the process as student-centered as we possibly can. So last year, you could apply with test scores and it would be considered in your merit scholarship review, or you could not, but you might be eligible for different amounts. This year, we've removed that barrier altogether and just adjusted our scholarships to be as friendly towards students as we possibly can. I know keeping our staff available while also keeping our staff safe, it has been a challenge. So, our office culture has changed over the past 2 years, I would say, especially over the past year. We were only fully remote for 3 months, and then we were back to offering campus visits. And so that was an advantage to us, I think, in the marketplace, but also presented a lot of questions that hadn't been answered already by some of our peers. But ultimately, at the forefront of that was accessibility for our prospective students, wanting them to get on campus, because at Toledo, a campus visit is very important to us. It is for everybody, but just given where our campus is and what it looks like, it often surprises people. So we want them to visit, we want them to see it. So that was an important aspect for us, while at the same time making sure we had the staff available to be here that they weren't sick or taking care of others that were.
Yeah, it's interesting. You guys really took a leadership stance there by going test optional early, and then, opening back up with visits and things like that too. And I'm going to age myself here, but back in the day, it was probably late '90s. There was the OACAC annual meeting spring conference was in Toledo, and the theme of it was to lead Ohio. And it was the play on the word Toledo. And I've always thought that there's always been some kind of undercurrent, of being on the edge and being forefront and thinking about the interaction with students that you guys have. That's really, really important. And I'm glad that you guys have continued to do that as you go through your process. Switching gears a little bit now, Collin, because of the nature of Gen Z, obviously they've been marketed to since they were born, right? I think everybody was born now has an Amazon account and gets their groceries delivered to their house. But what have you found helpful in communicating to those personal messages that you guys need to have, whether even on the transfer side, the adult side, or the regular traditional students, and using the dynamic content at the right time when the students are online, because they're not interacting with us right now when we want them to, right? So between the hours of 8 and 5, they're doing Netflix till 2 o'clock in the morning, and then they're on your website. So what's been helpful for you guys communicating those messages for you?
Well, I think a few things. I know that thinking of Gen Z, and as I know as a millennial myself, I wasn't as concerned about the cost of college. I was also a first generation student, so that probably contributes to that a little bit. I wish I had been more cost conscious, but the students that we're working with today definitely are, and I think their parents are and other influencers are more engaged than ever. And so what we're trying to do based on data that we have internally, but also data that we gather from Capture, is just to be as personalized and customized in our communication as we possibly can. I know Gabe and Robin have heard personalized and customized more times than they probably care to admit, which is difficult. Yeah, and it's a work in progress for us. It is definitely a work in progress for us. We've added some new positions to the admissions and enrollment management teams that are going to allow us to continue to develop that customization. And I think that it touches on a couple different areas. I think there's the social experience that a student anticipates having in college. There's the affordability and the value component of college. And then there's also the academic experience that they're going to have while they're here. And so if we've kind of broken our communication into those three buckets, and are trying to use the information that we know and what we have to provide students with what they might need to make a decision. So I know our philosophy in admissions, at least at the University of Toledo, is, our job is not to sell this great university that we work for. It's to provide students and families with all of the information they need to make an informed decision. That's really what our job is, and that's how we approach our work every day. But data obviously plays a very large role in that, and as much as we can know about students, the better.
I think when you're talking about enrollment management, there's an art and a science to it, right? So the art is creating the relationship, and then the science is the data behind it, right? So I was watching a conference the other day or something like that, and someone said that the data will only get you so far, but unless you can create the relationship with Gen Z, it's not gonna work out for you. So Gabe, how are you guys leveraging on a day-to-day basis the data that you're using, and how is it that you guys are using data to make contacts with prospective students and finding out where they are in their process?
Yeah, one of the things that I love about what we receive every day is a daily visitor report through the Engage platform. And so we're able to see a report of students that have visited our website, how engaged they are, when they have done that, what they've clicked on. So that allows us as admission counselors to be able to prioritize our work because there's thousands of students that we could be reaching out to at any one time in our overall funnel. But even some of our folks that have large territories or hundreds and hundreds of students that they could be reaching out to. So allows us to see who we should be reaching out to, based on how engaged they are, but also allows us to see what we should be reaching out to them about. So if I get a report and I see this person is clicking on financial aid, they've clicked on 3 different pages of financial aid. Well, I know based on their engagement score that they've been really engaged right now. So the quicker the better that I can get to that student and engage with them. But I also know that I can engage with them about financial aid. And as I reach out, I can have those resources handy to be able to speak to them about that. So that's huge. That allows us to prioritize and direct our efforts every day.
And Robin, what kind of themes are you hearing from your transfer group? Are they most worried about transfer number of credits, time to graduation, financial aid, D, all the above? I mean, what are you hearing on the transfer side is most important in these students making a choice to transfer?
It is D, all of the above. They also, I think, are questioning sometimes their degree program and whether it will provide them a career and how much return on this investment am I going to get. So a typical transfer student, we all know they want to know what's going to transfer. And then, of course, that translates to how long is it going to take me? How much is this going to cost me? They still have those questions, but I think more and more we're needing to, like Gabe said, utilize that information. Are they looking at financial aid? What are they looking at the academic program in our career services office? They're trying to get an idea, I think, of will this place be a place that I can feel comfortable, but also will propel me into a career where I'm really going to make some money and be able to support myself. So we're seeing a lot of wondering about that value, that return on that investment.
Yeah, I wish I would have had that kind of that ability back in the day when I was going to go to college to be able to look at a website and
Yeah.
figure that out. I don't think I'd have changed where I went to school, but I would have been able to at least been a little bit more informed along the way. So, Collin, let's talk about structure for a second, and I want to talk about marketing and marketing resources and things like that. So, how is marketing structured at the University of Toledo? Is it within the enrollment area? Is it its own area? How does that work on your campus?
Uh, University marketing and communications is separate from enrollment management. We're very fortunate to have a great working relationship, and for many of us, personal relationships with our colleagues in marketing and communications. But beyond enrollment, which I'm confident they would tell you is their top priority, we also have our own hospital and medical center at the University of Toledo. We have a fairly robust athletic program at the University of Toledo. So they have their hands full with many other things. But we work very collaboratively with them. We have a marketing and strategist in University Marketing and Communications who I meet with once a week, but talk to every day. And then the director of university marketing and the director of digital media are also very involved in our strategy development, our ongoing operations, the reports that we might provide to the president, the CFO, and the board of trustees. So it is separate from enrollment management, but at least in my time at Toledo, we've never had a more effective working relationship than what we do now.
Do you think that's some of the result of COVID happening and stuff like that? When COVID happened, I remember in talking with colleagues all over the United States that it was really circle the wagons. We need to be in the digital a little bit more. I think what COVID did was push a lot of people in more heavily into the digital side of things. And I know that you've done a little bit more print this year than in years past as well. How has that changed for you guys? What's your marketing mix kind of look like from an enrollment perspective? Digital versus texting and all that other stuff. What's that look like for you guys?
Yeah, there's been a lot of change at Toledo over the past 2 years in our marketing and our outreach strategy. I mean, part of what you started off the question with, there's no way that we could have done what we did last year without the support of our marketing and communications colleagues, between the graphic designers and the web developers and the strategists. I mean, they play such a huge role in everything that we do. Thankfully, we have the support from university administration, where our increase in print did not come at a cost on the digital side. So we've really kind of doubled down on both of those things. I don't pretend to know the nuances and the changing of privacy laws and how it affects who you can target on Instagram and Facebook. We have professionals in that space. It wasn't until the last 2 years where I really learned what PPC and Google Ads really even were. So it's been a great educational experience for me. But we've really taken a look at specific markets, recognizing where we can afford to be and where we cannot afford to be, and where we can afford to be, what are we going to do there, right? Is paid search the best thing? Is PPC? Is it Google Ads? Is it Facebook and Instagram advertising? We've worked to develop that strategy together and have been able to invest more in each of those avenues.
Well, when you think about using the behavioral intelligence platform, and you guys have all touched upon it a little bit too, about how you're directing your communications to folks too, having that 24/7 access, obviously your marketing department has it as well, about what's working and what's not working with the digital assets and things like that too. How has, having that 24-hour access to that platform given you the ability to maybe adjust website content? I know a lot of our partners have said they spent 12, like Gabe said, they spent 12 minutes on one page on the financial aid side. Were they getting the information they need? What kinds of content changes have you guys made, or thought process? And Robin, yours is in evolution all the time. How do you guys use that platform to make those adjustments?
I think what it helps us do more than anything is prioritize what pages need to be reviewed for accurate content and usability and the friendliness to the end user. Our transfer websites have seen a lot more traffic over the last couple of years, so we're investing a lot of time in updating our transfer websites. Financial aid has also been a big part of that. So recognizing that students are visiting our financial aid websites very frequently, recognizing that there are different populations of students viewing our financial aid website, so making those a little bit more dynamic. We've taken that information from Capture to know who to prioritize, who to ensure receives the most attention, or the attention first, or the attention next, and then working our way down from there.
As this is the last question, I promise, and then I'll let you guys get back to work, and I'll give you a few minutes back on that countdown that I have. I think I'm going to have a countdown created and have that working on our side, so we can just, not to put any pressure on you guys, but the fall is coming. The fall is coming, but that means football's coming back, and then hopefully another win for the University of Toledo over who?
Bowling Green.
That team down south, right? We don't even say their name too loudly. But if each of you could just give maybe one or two insights to our viewers about what you're seeing in the market right now and how you're combating it, and give us some advice, give us something to take away. And then again, I'll let you go after this. And I thank you for this. But Robin, let's start with you. What is the one or two things that you could tell our Capture fans today that you've learned that can help them move forward?
I would say that you really do need to look at your web pages as a user instead of from the insight of being a faculty or staff member. You definitely need to be thinking as a student and what they need and what they want. They want information quickly. They want it clearly. That would be the first information that I would say would be important for someone to recognize. Secondly, I would say you really need to try to do your best to understand where a student is coming from. Gabe mentioned, Collin mentioned, we've all talked about empathy. Students are tired of school at the moment, I think, a lot, because they're not sure what to expect. On any given day, we could be virtual, or we could be in classes on campus like normal. So I think that the most that you can do is assure them that they can do this, that we have the tools to help them do this, and we're there to be with them to assist whenever we possibly can. Those are the big takeaways.
Great. Hey, Gabe, what about you? What's one or two things that we should take away?
Yeah, I think we've talked a lot about data and how it informs our decisions, and how we can work smarter, not so much harder, maybe smarter and harder. Got to watch out, Colin's on this call. But but at the end of the day, it's still all about relationships. Um, I just passed over my 20-year anniversary of working in higher education admissions, and from day one, it was about relationships. It is still about relationships. So, what can we be doing, um, using the tools that we've gotten used to using in the last 2 years to still be able to create those relationships and be thinking about that all the time? And that could be relationships with students, influencers, school counselors. I mean, a little empathy towards them. I can imagine. I have a 16-year-old, it's a sophomore in high school, and I can imagine what those counselors have been through and are still continuing to go through all these months and these couple of years. So I think that's what it is. It's still about relationships and how you continue to make those through all difficulty we've been going through.
Oh. Collin, what about you? What's one good takeaway?
I think that, at least for me right now, understanding the strength of the students that have been admitted to Toledo, the likelihood that they're going to enroll is critical for me. We've experienced a lot of success in our funnel right now for the class of 2022, both on transfer side and the freshman side. But like you said at the very beginning, Chris, there's a lot of months to go until census day, after fall semester starts. And so I'm trying to work with Capture, University Marketing Communications, to really have a better idea of who these admitted students are to really address yield. So digging into that data a bit more, seeing where they're coming from, where the interest is, and then providing them with the most meaningful touch points with the university that we possibly can. And it's hard to do that in a blended environment of being on campus and being virtual. I know that, I don't know if others around the country have experienced this, but I know at least in Ohio and in the Midwest, in order for some other institutions to meet their enrollment goals, they've admitted some that they typically would not in the past. And that has put a big strain on regional universities like Toledo. And so it's been nearly impossible to calculate really what yield is going to look like. So kind of managing those conversations amongst our team to empower our admission counselors to have those meaningful conversations with students, but also to manage those conversations up as well, has been difficult. So we're just kind of taking it week by week to see how things progress and going from there.
And I appreciate it. And I think the one thing that, we were talking about melt mitigation here, very soon, and we're actually going to do a webinar on that next month. Everybody's kind of in the same boat, and they're all kind of waiting around a little bit. And hopefully that in the end, we're all, in a better situation where we're getting the students that we need. And so that those students are successful too. To your point, Colin, there's some places that may have admitted students where they might not have admitted them in the past, where that student might not be successful on that campus. And I think we kind of get away from the ethics and values of what enrollment management really is. So, gentlemen, and Robin, wherever she disappeared to, gentlemen, I really thank you for your time today. And always being partners with you guys has always been a treat for me. And I look forward to seeing you guys later this spring at OACAC. And take care and go Rockets.
Thank you, Chris.
Yes, you too.
Thanks, guys. And that's going to be our Capture Latte engagement for January. I just want to give you a quick reminder that on Thursday, February 3rd at 2 p.m., we're going to be hosting a new our next webinar. It's going to be called New Program, New Goals, No Problem. We're going to talk about 4 strategies on how to launch and increase current graduate program enrollment for the graduate side. So stay tuned for that. We'll be sending out invitations for that webinar here within the next couple of days. Until then, everybody stay safe, stay warm, and we'll see you around very soon. Thanks, everybody.